Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Morgan, editor of Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Today, we're talking with Thomas Healy, CEO, and Secretary Andy Card, who served in the cabinet as White House Chief of Staff and is now member of the board of directors, both with Hyliion. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. This is wonderful. I know we've already talked like like a bunch before we started here. Happy to dive into the conversation. I was excited to catch up with you both. Andy, with you joining the Hyliion team, and then Thomas, you've had a number of announcements coming out, even during the pandemic, where lots of impacted fleets there, but of course, trucks were essential. They kept rolling. And now, as we've seen, truck orders starting to pick up. Trailer orders just spiked to their highest here in July for 2020. So it looks like things are picking up. So glad to touch base with you both. We'll just dive into the questions here as usual. And I'm going to start here on your side here with Thomas. So we mentioned the announcements. You're delivering hybrid trucks to Penske. You did that in February. You announced an electric range extender in July, right? Lots going on there. What's your take on the appetite for these hybrid solutions in the market right now? What are you hearing from fleets working on the roads?
So what we're seeing with fleets is electrification's coming, right? And everyone knows in the trucking industry that there's this massive tailwind bringing us towards electrification. And we're starting to see fleets are really trying to figure out what are going to be the right electrified solutions for them and for their operations. And what we're doing is we're bringing forward both a hybrid electric system, which is really an add-on to your existing trucks. It can be spec'd on a brand new vehicle or as a aftermarket add-on. Basically, the deal is, we're making it like a Toyota Prius. We're reducing some of the fuel that's being consumed by the vehicle. But as you noted, we also just announced the Hypertruck ERX, which is Hyliion's first stepping into doing the full powertrain of the vehicle. It's a fully electric drivetrain, and you've got a range extender generator on board under the hood that will kick on and charge the batteries up as you're going. So you don't have to worry about plugging the vehicle into the grid. You actually refuel the vehicle with compressed natural gas, and specifically renewable natural gas. And that's what charges the batteries up as you're going down the road. So lots of benefits, cost savings, emissions reductions, utilizing existing infrastructure. And it's a technology that we're extremely excited to be able to bring to the market here as we move forward.
Right, and even with that range extender, it still kind of fits that hybrid kind of mantra, right? Because you have two different fuel types, one supporting the fully electric, but still getting the job done and meeting the demands that frankly we all know that straight up fully battery powered trucks really can't. We're not there yet. We're getting close, but we're not there yet, right?
Yeah, I think the technology is there for battery electric, right? I mean, you can build a fully electric truck. I think the question is the infrastructure behind it. How are you going to recharge that truck? And we looked at some data. There's a study out there that showed if you plug in one fast charge fully electric semi truck, or I apologize, plug in two fast charge fully electric semi trucks, that amount of electricity that those trucks are consuming is actually more than the Western Star truck manufacturing facilities, right? So you take a whole truck manufacturing plant, right? And you could either run that whole operation or you can be charging two fully electric semi trucks, right? So I mean that's really the dilemma with electric trucks right now is how are these things going to get recharged, refueled, and that's where you see the approaches of what we're doing with utilizing natural gas, or what Nikola's doing, which is utilizing hydrogen fuel cell as an ability to enable having an electric truck, but actually bring the fuel with you that produces the electricity.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Andy, clearly your pedigree speaks for itself here. Thanks for taking the time. You joined the team here in early August. Want to get your take for what's your view of all the recent legislation around electric vehicles and reduced emissions? California clearly being the leader here in some of the stuff they've announced in the past month. What's your take on fully electric and hybrid electric in the heavy truck market going forward?
Well, Jason, it's great to be with you, and thank you for your interest in what we're doing. But California has actually had more interest than even you've had, because they are always pushing the envelope, and no one is surprised that they're driving all transportation to be more fuel efficient and moving to all electric. The difference with Hyliion and a lot of others is that we can help you get there transitionally faster than anybody else. because this can be an add-on to an existing fleet and make a difference. And California is going to be, it won't just be California that creates the incentive for this technology. Many states copy California, Massachusetts being one of them, a lot of the New England states, for example. So this is going to be a national expectation. It may not be required nationally, but there'll be an expectation that the solutions that Hyliion offers will be needed, especially in the transition to an all-electric vehicle. So I'm very impressed with the leadership of Hyliion, the vision that Thomas Healy brought to this challenge a long time ago, and his remarkable diligence in getting there, and attracting support when people were cynical and didn't think that it would be worthy. He actually taught people to pay attention, and he invited them to be part of a solution, and he's attracted a tremendous following. And I've been proud to have observed Thomas in his infant days in this mission, and I've been impressed with, number one, the ethics that he has, his commitment to success, his ability to learn and to change things as he's learning, so he doesn't get stuck in yesterday or try to take yesterday's mistakes and tell everybody they weren't a mistake. No, they were a mistake, and he learned from them, and he made a big difference. And he also understands that you have to have something that is market viable. It can't just be theory. So he took something that started off as a theory, and he proved that he could make it market viable and get it into the marketplace. And the cynical marketplace is responding with enthusiasm. So I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Right. And something I want to touch on there, I'll throw it back to you, Thomas, on this one too, because I think it speaks to it. The market viable is interesting. And I think that your position in the market on that hybrid offering, right, which is still really unique. I think that some may have written it off, but right now, as regulations push more aggressively into that arena, to your point, it's going to offer some more answers that maybe some of the other technology isn't ready to answer right now within those questions, right? How have you seen this evolve within the fleet market of that story? And as you bring these announcements out over the past 4 or 5 years, how have you the temperature for fleet managers for this kind of this narrative in the technology? Is it coming along? Is it growing?
I think the response we've received from fleets is really it's practical, right? And so when you look at a hybrid solution, you're not ripping out the whole powertrain, you're not moving off a diesel, you're not requiring a different fuel source. You're saying, hey, let's take that truck that you have and let's make it a little bit better, right? Let's improve the fuel economy, let's reduce how much fuel is used, as well as reducing the emissions coming out of the vehicle. And it's a great step in towards electrification. Now, there are some applications and instances where hybrid will be the solution for a long time ahead, right? Our whole trucking infrastructure is built off of diesel trucks, right? That's what 90-something% of the trucks out there are running off of diesel. So hybrid allows you to still stay on diesel, but get some of that benefit brought forward of electrification. Versus when you start to look at the full electric plug in the grid, the hydrogen fuel cell, or the natural gas electric vehicle that we're bringing forward, the range extender vehicle, that's when you start to shift towards now the full powertrain's electric, and you're moving off of diesel, right? You're no longer going to pull that truck into a diesel station and refuel. So the response has been it's practical. And then, going back to the last question you asked Andy about, what's the government regulations and how's that going to drive things? One of the other things that we're seeing is that government regulations drive things forward if the solution still costs you more money than what your old solution does, right? If it's going to cost more, then you need the government to kind of push it along to get fleets to adopt it. But if you can come forward with a solution that ultimately has a fast payback, ultimately is going to save fleets more money than what they spent before, then that becomes the adopting factor. It's no longer that government incentive, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing is, our solutions have an ability to drive a very fast payback and ultimately save the fleets a significant amount of money as opposed to cost them more money. And so we actually see moving forward here, the driver for fleets adopting will really be that cost savings. And then the kind of incentives that are out there from the government, the push towards having more electric vehicles out there, it adds fuel to the fire almost, right? As opposed to that being the primary reason why fleets are adopting new technologies.
Right, for sure. Andy, on your side then, working with policymakers, other people that are invested in this whole ecosystem. I mean, we mentioned the charging, utilities are involved in this. Uh, do they just want to see I mean, when policies are being made, are they considering the technologies? Are they looking at these and saying, okay, here are some solutions and different ways to tackle it? Or is it more of a, here's a policy and good luck fleets meeting?
Well, the government has a hard time making regulations that fit the future. And that's a reality. I always say that no politician is as smart as they claim to be. They all embellish. And no bureaucrat is as smart as they need to be, because they tend to make decisions based on yesterday. And in the marketplace, CEOs are making decisions based on tomorrow. They're trying to get ready for tomorrow. Thomas Healy has created a product that is ready today to meet tomorrow's expectation. And it's transitional so that you can meet it in increments. And you can be all electric in a city and be diesel outside the city if you want. So you can help that city get more credit for cleaner air. So I actually find that what we're doing here is we're introducing a solution that the marketplace will embrace because it can be cost effective. We're also introducing a solution that bureaucrats can recognize because it mitigates a problem that they were trying to solve. So it forms as a way to educate people on both sides of that debate. It is also not a threat to the current infrastructure. So you're not making an enemy out of the diesel fuel folks. You're not making an enemy out of the natural gas folks. You're not even making an enemy out of the electricity folks. And so the infrastructure is much more manageable in terms of a cost than many of the other solutions that government bureaucrats think they want to impose. And we do not have an infrastructure ready to go with an all-electric fleet. We just don't have it. We don't have an infrastructure to go to a hydrogen-based fleet system. So what Thomas has done is say, I'm dealing with the reality of today with an expectation that there can be a solution tomorrow, and this is the path to that solution. So I think that's what's exciting. And the marketplace, they do not want to make decisions, businesses do not want to make decisions on theory. They want to make a decision on the return on investment. They have an obligation to their shareholders. And Thomas has presented a solution to that challenge. They may have every expectation they'd like to be all electric. They just can't get there at a reasonable cost and a return on investment for their shareholders. Thomas has presented them with a solution that will be a path to a greater solution years down the road whenever it gets here. And remember, every bureaucrat's expectation for a solution is usually closer than reality allows them to make. So the marketplace doesn't usually beat the bureaucrat into a solution. And Thomas has found a way to invite a solution that should please everyone and also give everyone kind of a taste of what tomorrow will be like, because this is really tomorrow's technology today.
Right. So back to you, Thomas, on this. So then let's say I am a fleet manager. I do want to get involved. I'm interested, but I'm skeptical, right? Because it is a business decision. It's an equipment decision. What's your advice for getting started? What do I need you to understand about my application? And in this hybrid world, what do I need to look for in terms of equipment, operation, productivity, and reliability to make me comfortable with it?
Yeah, so what we've heard from fleets is they want to experience it firsthand, right? And that's something that we're doing right now with the hybrid product. You mentioned Penske earlier. I think it was just yesterday, actually, we announced that we just started a program with Ideal Lease. So they've now got a truck out there with the hybrid system on it, and it's actually Ideal Lease customers that are going to be using it in different parts of the country, and I think that's very customary for the trucking industry. And what we've heard is that fleets want to see it in their fleet, in their own operations themselves. And there's been a lot of technologies brought forward over the last decades about new solutions, and some of them brought more maintenance costs. Some of them have brought other hurdles forward, right? And that's where I think fleets want to see it themselves. Now, one of the benefits we're dealing with is electric vehicles are notorious for just having less moving parts than a conventional diesel truck does. There's a study I saw out there that said a Tesla car has about 20 moving parts versus a normal internal combustion engine car has about 2,000 moving parts, right? And so when you look at maintenance, I think electrification is a way for us to shift towards a more sustainable or less kind of cost-intensive maintenance solution. And then it also comes down to what's the operating cost of the vehicle going to be, and the last thing is, are drivers going to like them, right? I mean, that's ultimately, if drivers don't want to drive these vehicles, fleets can't adopt them, right? I mean, we got a huge driver shortage issue in this industry, and I was on a panel a few days ago, and that was one of the discussion points, was about how you just got to get the driver in that electric vehicle. If you've driven a Tesla car before, the driving experience is fantastic, right? You have great acceleration, instant torque, a lot of high horsepower, high torque vehicle, and it's quiet and it's smooth, and it's a great driving experience. And I think that's something that even the drivers are looking forward to. I think there's skepticism going into it. It's like, hey, I want my diesel 15 liter, 600 horsepower, right? But what if you can jump in an electric truck that has more horsepower, it's quieter, it's cleaner, and it's a better driving experience? I think that's where we'll win.
Right. Yeah. We saw those sentiments with manual transmission too, and we've now seen how that's gone. Right. And I believe I rode in the electric hybrid. Was it this year? A year ago at TMC. I have that video. I'll post this when I get it so people can get a look. My sense of time is gone forever now because I don't know what it is. But Andy, one more question to you, because okay, look, let's say I crunch the numbers, I drive the equipment, I think it's a fit for my fleet. One of the added bonuses, especially in the climate right now, is like I want credit for this, right? Not just the ROI credit, but I want the social impact credit, the environmental credit. What advice do you have for fleets in communicating that with their local leaders, their policymakers, and hey, I'm doing my part. What do you need to see from me?
Well, first of all, the products that Thomas has put into the marketplace really do clean up the air. So it's quantifiable, and so you can start off by having a little pride, and you can market that pride. You can say, our modified vehicles are cleaner than the old vehicles were, and we're part of the solution. We're making progress. So there's a marketing advantage. I think with that will come maybe some government credit, or a pat on the back or something that would say, those are the kind of fleets that you should service our community with if you have that as a cleaner vehicle. And it certainly would be attractive to places that are having a hard time complying with EPA's air quality requirements. So I'm not sure that that's a quantifiable number, but it is certainly, from a societal point of view, you could stand a little taller and say, I'm part of a solution, and market that, and eventually get more credit for it. As we move to more and more success in the marketplace, there may be incentives for the government to say they want to bring in and say, here is a discount or a credit or a tax benefit to this vehicle. But right now, those benefits are kind of for the full electric vehicle. But as we show the world what a good marketplace that has these products in it can do, there may be other incentives. But I actually think I think the driving experience will actually better for people when they understand what the hybrid mechanism is like. I think truckers are going to like driving the vehicles. And I think the communities are going to like having them come into their facilities. And there are advantages kind of to turning off the diesel engine and using the electric powertrain. So I think it's very exciting. I'm an engineer by training. Yes, I get caught up in the political world. If you're a politician and an engineer, I've always claimed you're an oxymoron, because there are very few engineers in politics, and I don't know whether I'm the oxy or the moron, but I'm an engineer who got into politics. I love to see the solutions that Thomas has discovered introduced to the marketplace, because that's exactly what good engineering should do. Public policymakers have a goal. Thomas has given them a way to achieve that goal in a way that they didn't think about. And so I'm very excited to be part of it. And I'm also excited with the team that he put together to build this product. And it's a classy team, and they are very committed to success. And he's got a wonderful culture around what he's doing. And I think there's a lot of pride there. So that impresses me as well.
Very cool, very cool. And it's always great catching up with your team. Hopefully the world will get back to normal here pretty soon, and we can get back in events and hop back in trucks and give them a test drive. But thank you both for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation. I'm sure I'll be bugging you both again soon for an update as you continue to roll out new solutions and announcements.
Thank all of those fleet leaders that are keeping the trucks on the road.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.